just 4 days before the Kiev Post article talks about this relationship between Russia and North Korea and advises the U.S. government the U.S. should be mounting a major information operation against Russia, China, and North Korea to highlight their differences and fuel distrust among them. So is that what we're seeing just 4 days later, a disinformation campaign? I just want to take a moment and read this because it's so blatant. And again, this is like the U.S. government is constantly accusing Russia of trying to, quote, sow discord with, quote, disinformation. What we're doing, of course, is we are having information operations to fuel distrust. It's again, like I said the last episode, the Family Guy meme where they got the skin tones, but it's the Russian flag.
Yeah.
Given the differences in objectives of Russia, China, and North Korea, the United States should be mounting major information operations against these three countries to highlight their differences and fuel distrust against them, among them. Again, 18 North Korean defectors on the front lines. Just 4 days later, doing so would increase the likelihood of decoupling at least some of their partnerships. Some examples of potential information operations seem obvious. With China, it is important to publicly declare that China seeks dominance in Northeast Asia and beyond. The United States should call attention to how North Korea's close cooperation with Russia defies Chinese dominance, making China unhappy.
Oh.
In addition, North Korea regularly threatens to use nuclear weapons, which could ignite nuclear war in the region. This is likely why Chinese leader Xi Jinping has said that he will not permit war or chaos on the Korean peninsula. Information operations could sensitize Chinese leaders and people to these threats, inducing China to pressure North Korea to rein in its nuclear weapons productions, its provocations, and its threats to use nuclear weapons. Information operations are also possible against Russia and North Korea. For example, media stories could tell the Russian people that North Korea has sent a significant number of dilapidated artillery and other munitions to Russia that have been causing Russian casualties. What the North Korean elites have likely been reassured by the food and economic resources that Russia has been providing. The media could explain that North Korea has been apparently exhausting its available munition supplies, such as Russian payments to North Korea will likely be declining significantly in the coming years. In addition, the United States should recognize that North Korean military advisors are supporting Russian use of North Korean military supplies in occupied areas of Ukraine. This is a very poorly written article. I'm not just messing up my words. I am, but it's got some very strange phrasing.
They clearly rushed it out in advance of this. It's like, oh shit, we've got to we've got to publish the discussion of the proposal document before we actually do this. Yeah, I mean, right. Also, I mean, just more generally as well, is that like it has been a recurrent theme, and it's interesting. I mean, it's very clear that there are elements of the British and American military intelligence apparatus, an oxymoron, if ever there was one, that genuinely think that there is like a cat in hell's chance that they are going to prize apart China and Russia. These countries are like joined at the hip. The sanctions on Russia rang the bells at their wedding. Okay, there was a RAND report at the start of last year, which basically laid out a blueprint for the US getting the hell out of Dodge in Ukraine. It was called Avoiding a Long War, and it talked about how, the longer the war in Ukraine goes on, it's actually very bad for the empire and its international vassals. I mean, the sanctions are destroying Europe's economies, and it stated another reason that we shouldn't allow the proxy war to carry on too long is because there is a risk of China and Russia being pushed closer together. And it's like, again, I mean, talk about closing the stable door long after the horse has bolted. Like, I mean, yeah, the China and Russia relationship has redefined the world. It will continue to do so. There is zero. I mean, we've seen the footage of Xi flying into to Moscow to meet with Putin. Very warm, the kind of fraternal camaraderie. They talk about bringing changes the world hasn't seen in centuries together. They speak very warmly. I don't think some bullshit propaganda, which is advertised in advance by Rand Corporation, is going to make Xi Jinping go, oh, actually, well, no, we should probably just dump this and throw in with the West again.